Good morning, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope that you are having a good week up until this point as you move towards the back end of your week. I hope that you are experiencing some progress. And if you are making progress, you are also achieving success. With that being said, I'm not going to be in front of you long this morning. I just want to stop by. This is Thursday, so Thursdays are normally the day we talk about specific business principles. And what I want to talk to you about today is real simple. Um, it's about, first and foremost, understanding your value. We're talking about business, so we're going to say we understanding your value in the market, but this applies in life, period. It doesn't just apply to business or in your particular industry or market. It applies to life. In simple, understand your value in any particular situation. If it's business, understand your value in your industry, in your specified targeted market, in the peripheral makeup of your core target audience. Understand your value. Understand what you're bringing to the table. Understand the value it possesses in producing a specific desired result. You have a value when you enter into a relationship, whether it be a friendship, a partnership, or a romantic relationship or marriage. You have a value. That value is based on what you bring to the table, what you have to offer. How will you enhance this person's particular situation, short term, midterm, and long term? Same thing in business. When you come to the table with a product or service that you are offering, you are going to say there is value in what I'm offering, and the value is going to be determined on what it's capable of producing. There are two primary components to establishing value. Now, there are a bunch of other things like branding and marketing, which can enhance value based on perception. But we're talking about core mechanisms. We're talking about the things that, hey, this is what I bring, and this is how well I bring it, and this is what it costs. And when you understand that, you understand the importance of protecting. Hey, Sandy, how you doing? The short answer is not well, but we're moving along. Thanks for asking, though. The fundraising efforts aren't coming along well at all, but that hasn't stopped us in the slightest. It definitely puts a strain on me, but it hasn't stopped us. And it goes kind of into what we're talking about here. You understand your value. When you understand your value, you understand the importance of protecting your value. Okay, there are two things that make up your value. The first is, what are you bringing to the table? In business, it's going to be a product or a service you're going to be bringing to the table. And it's going to one element of establishing value is how well is the product service designed and implemented, how what's the level of quality in which is being delivered, and the entire experience of producing and presenting this product or service, right? So it has to be a good product. It has to be a good service if you're looking for high value. Now, here's the crazy thing. Even more importantly is what you demand and what you're willing to accept for the product or the service. Now, this applies again in life in general. I tell people all the time, especially females, when they're talking about, I know my worth. I know my worth, but then I look at their lives, and their lives are not indicative of the worth that they're trying to proclaim. And my private conversation with them is out of love, is it's not the proclamation. It's simply and foremost what you're willing to accept. You establish your value in the utmost way by what you are willing to accept for what you are presenting. In a relationship, in life as a human, what you accept from others establishes your value. It establishes what you know about who you are and what you're willing to tolerate or accept. Now, if you're willing to accept somebody mishandling you, misspeaking to you, abusing you, mistreating you, your value isn't very high. So your value sets your standards. Your standard says, this is the level you have to deal with me at. I will not allow you, I will not come down here and deal with you on this level. If you want to deal with me, you have to meet me here. That's a standard. That's the lowest level of what you will accept. Same thing in business. When you have a business and you're presenting a product or a service, what you will accept establishes the value. And the problem is, once you establish a value in something you deliver, it's going to be hard to raise that value without presenting something new to justify the raising of the cost. You have to look at it and say, okay, what is this worth to people? And the thing is, where a lot of people sort of fall off, and this is a side note, where a lot of people sort of fall off when it comes to business is you have this great idea about something that would be so cool, right? It will be so cool because it's cool to you. Now you go out and you create this product or you create this new service, and now you have to go out and find people who want it. Why? Because you went backwards. Instead of finding a need that already existed, which will give you and identify your target audience, you went and created something you liked. So now you got to find a bunch of yous who want to pay for it. When you sit up and you already say, hey, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm capable of doing, and there is a group of people who want this already. All I have to do is create it in a way that it appeases and appeals to them. And now I can set the standard, and depending on what need you're meeting is going to have an impact on what you can charge. But what you cannot do, and I posted this earlier, is lowball your product or service in order to attract people who are not willing to pay more for it. You have to establish the value and have to be strong to it. And again, there are ways that you can sort of look at your industry and see where the price points are. You can see, well, when you offer this, this is what people normally pay. And then you can look at how you're delivering. Are you delivering it at that level or higher? You don't want to deliver it lower because you want the one thing that you are bringing to the table that's consistent is the level of quality and the uniqueness in which you deliver the product. In other words, there might be some other people doing something like you're doing it, but they're not doing it exactly like you're doing it. And that's what separates you from most. Now, that's going to create this small niche market that you service, and in some ways service solely or almost exclusively, because you do things not only well, you do them based off of the uniqueness of your own personal gift. And what that does is separates you from an entire market and creates your own little niche market or sub-market inside of the larger market. So you got a lot of people wanting that stuff and going to different places to get it. But if they want it like this, they got to come to you. Now, when you are like that, you get to say, hey, this is what I charge. Nobody else can do it. So if you want it, this is what I charge. And if it's worth it to them, they will spend the money. And the thing is, you will find your market, but what you can't do is have an idea, hey, this is what people are charging, and I'm doing it like this, I'm killing it, and I'm going to actually charge less than the people that are mediocre because I want people to buy my product. Well, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And you're also causing all kind of havoc and volatility in the market, because now there's confusion as to what has value and what doesn't. And so it's a lot more to it, but at the core of business and the core of life, you have to understand your value. You have to know your value more than anyone else. The problem is most people allow other people to set their value, to determine their value. They're validated by other people. You cannot find yourself in a situation in life or in business where you are validated by someone else. You have to sit up and say, this is what I bring to the table. This is who I am, good, bad, and ugly. It's always there. Nobody's perfect. Nobody does everything right. Some people have this weakness. Other people have that weakness. But there's always some things you can work on and always some things you absolutely excel at. And what you want to do is be the best you. And I'm one of those. I teach people, look, know your weaknesses, but capitalize on your strengths. And then find people who are great at what you're not great at. Instead of trying to artificially and inorganically grow your, strengthen your weaknesses, meaning I'm going to go out, I'm going to read all these books. Nothing wrong with that. I'm an avid reader. I'm reading a minimum of 1 book a week, literally. And that's, like I say, minimum. That's not what I'm striving for, but that's an absolute must. Now, what am I getting? I'm saying that nothing wrong with reading. However, that's an inorganic way of learning. What do you mean by that? Reading is knowledge. Absolutely, definitely read. There's a correlation between the top 4 to 5% of performers in this world and reading. The average person in America reads 1 book a year. That means some people aren't reading any, but the average person reads 1 book a year. That's average. 1 book a year. That's counting all the high performers and everything. That's the average read. Those who are considered the top performers in this country in any given field are reading an average of 3 to 4 books per month. That's a correlation reading. So I'm not diminishing the impact of reading. What I'm saying is reading is still inorganic. It is presenting an idea and allowing you to read it, interpret it. The best form of learning is still observation and participation. In other words, the ways that I've improved in life have been, okay, I know my strengths. I'm going to perform in my strengths. I'm going to ride my strengths because my strengths are the revelation of my talent and my gift and my purpose. That's what I'm meant to do because it's natural. It comes to me. It's what I do. Speaking and writing are part of what I am just naturally good at. I mean, I've been good at it since I was a kid. And so that is it. Also engaging people, being able to communicate and understand people and have people understand me, something that I'm naturally good at. Not so good in organization. And so what do? Over my life, I've gotten a lot better at organization than I was initially. That's still not my best strength. But how did I get better at it? I got better at it not because of the books I read. I read some books, but that's not how I got better because I went out and partnered with people who were exceptional organizers. See, I'm a conceptualist. I come up with it in my mind. So what I do is I partner with people who can take my vision, put it in an organizational concept, and we work together to bring it forward. That's my strength. And I understand. I'm not trying to be I did it all, Rick Wallace. I've never been that person. I've always understood that they're just people who are gifted, that when you partner with them, you bring your gift, merge it with their gift, you create this synergy, and you accomplish more in synergy than you are ever able to accomplish as an individual. That's how marriages work when you work right. Your partner is not supposed to be a mirror image of you. Your partner is supposed to be the person who's better at things that you're weak at. You come together now, you have the same values, interests, and principles. You're focused and you're heading the same way. Your characters are aligned, but your gifts are different. And it works naturally that way, normally with a male and a female, but we've got a lot of things that are influencing that now. But anyway, what I did is I go out and find this person. Now, what happens when I bring this person that's just great at organizing things? I bring them in and I work with them. While I'm working with them, I'm also practicing what they're doing with them. I'm watching them, I'm observing them, and when something has to be done and they're not there immediately or readily available, I've got to do it. And so I'm learning organically. It's a part of social learning theory. I observe it, I practice it, I perform it, and I get better at it. Will it ever be that will be my primary best thing I can do? Probably not, because I'm just gifted at certain things, and we tend to normally focus and do more in the areas of things we're great at because it feels good, it's comfortable, and whatever. But I can definitely improve. The best way to improve is to bring people around you who are better at it than you. You have to put your ego aside. You have to be willing to work with others, and then you get more force anyway. You're always going to be able to do more with multiple people than you are by yourself. And this whole self-made idea is erroneous and fallible and idiotic anyway. Nobody's self-made. Everybody's had somebody pour into them. Everybody's had somebody underwrite them. Everybody's had somebody that stood by them, that opened doors that couldn't be opened, that made phone calls, that created possibilities. It's always somebody helping you. So that whole I'm a self-made, no. But with me, It's more about progress than it is the pat on the back with me. I don't do things for people to say, man, you did that. No, I do things because I want what that represents. If I'm in the community and I'm doing something, I'm not doing it for people to say, man, we love what you're doing in the community. I'm doing it because the community has to be better when I leave. My grandfather taught me something. My adopted father, my great grandfather, he taught me something. He said, son, your job when you walk into a room is to fill your space. And I'm like, what does that mean? He says, when you walk into the room, filling your space means that you know you have a capacity to do something positive for the people in the room. You should never leave the room the same way you found it. You should go into that room, and the lives and the people in that room should be better when you leave. Fill your space. Fill your space. And that's how I live my life. I fill my space to the best of my capacity. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I made some mistakes that I'm not proud of. But at the end of the day, I wake up every day with the desire to do something powerful and positive, not for me, for other people. I've learned a long time ago. I can focus on being the best I can be in empowering other people, and I'm going to be good. I don't have to be like, I gotta have. I can sit up and say, man, even when things are not right, even when things are tight. And see, I'm not one of those people that go around and try to make people think everything in life with me is grand and great all day, every day. I don't never have problems. I ain't never up against the wall. I'm up against the wall more than most people would think and believe because I don't go small. I don't play small. I'm not looking for just to get by. So I go for the gusto and I get the crap knocked out of me sometimes. But I understand that that's okay. Because and I'm just using numbers now. If I go for $1 million and I get the crap knocked out of me and I only get 250,000, but the safe bet was 100,000. Did I win by going for the million and getting the crap knocked out of you? Darn straight I did. I failed forward. I failed forward further than I would have if I would have took the safe bet. So yeah, I'm always up against the wall. But at the end of the day, my goal is to leave a legacy that say I came, I saw, I conquered, I left the world in a better place, in a better situation than when I found it, that I did something that made the world better. And that was something, and it doesn't matter if I never hear that while I'm alive, because it's not about approval and validation and the approbation of people. It's about making an imprint that my progeny, the offspring, will be able to come along long after I'm gone and say, my great, great, great grandfather did this, and because of that, this is what we have. And so that's where I'm at in my life right now. But what you got to understand is there comes a point where you've got to understand your value. Because there's a lot of people going to try to talk you off your value. They're going to tell you they really believe in what it is you're doing. They're going to tell you, hey, man, I really want to work with you, or I really want what you got to sell. I really want your product. I really want your services. I really want to work with you. But that's kind of steep. But I know, would you take this? And you got to say, respectfully, I understand not everybody can afford my services. I've said this so many times, it's like cloud. I understand not everybody can afford my services, but this is what I charge. And this is what you're going to get. So what you're going to get justifies what I'm charging. Now, if you're not prepared to make that move, I understand. That's on you. I'm not here to convince you that. I'm bringing a product. You either got a desire to have something that this product presents or this service presents, or you don't. But you can't lowball yourself. You can't put yourself in a situation where you're trying to get people in because you're worried about having business. You're trying to establish something on the long term. You're trying to have an impact. And your ability to have an impact is going to be on how well you fund your business. You fund your business primarily through revenue from sales. So the best job you're going to do is going to be dependent on how good you are at picking a price point and protecting it. The same thing with relationships. You got to know your value going in, or people will shortchange you. People will come along and tell you, well, hey, man, hey, I know you want something long-term, you want something committed, but hey, I'm just kind of in this place right now. Let's just see where it goes. And you look up and 4 years later, you're still trying to see where it goes. They've gotten all the benefits of getting the full product, but they haven't made the payment. See, that's why you've got to know your value. You know, one of the things that I've actually heard my wife say to other people is, the one thing I never heard from my husband is, let's see where it goes. My husband came up to me and told me, hey, I want you to be my wife. Me and my wife never dated. Literally, never dated. All the dates me and my wife have gone on were after we were married. Now, we didn't just pop up and meet each other and say we want to get married. I observed her for more than a couple of years. From a professional perspective at first, and then from a personal perspective. I observed her movements. I observed the consistency in her character. I observed how she handled and loved on her children. I observed that. Everything else is academic. What do I mean by that? People talking about, well, I need to date them to get to know them. The person you get to know now is not going to be the person that's next year. Only thing you need to know about a person is their character. I can discern character in one day. If I'm observing, especially if I'm observing you, you don't know it. And I surely can be able to observe you in several ways. So the thing is, you're going to grow. You're not going to be the person you are today. What you need to know is, what is the person's character? As they grow, where are they likely to grow to? Based off of their character, their values, their interests, their principles, where are they going to head? Where are they headed? Are we headed in the same direction? And then the second part of it is simply understanding the dynamic of marriage. Marriage is about commitment. It's literally a contractual commitment. It is a binding agreement, which says that we're not married because of our feelings. We're married because we see the benefit of being together and what we can produce as a couple moving forward. So that means that sometimes I'm probably not really feeling you, but I'm not with you solely based on how you make me feel. I'm with you because we have the best opportunity to create something better for the future. And my commitment to you is what holds me in place. Now, most of the time, I'll be honest, most of the time, I mean, most of the time, I'm good with where I'm feeling with my wife. And those rare moments where I'm in my feelings, it never crosses my mind, oh my God, I gotta get, it's like, okay, having a bad day. So we gonna fix it before the day is over with, period. And you keep moving. It's about covenant. It's about contract. It's about commitment. And so one thing she noticed when I came to her is that everything that I came out of my mouth was surrounding commitment. It was, I want to make you my wife, not let's see where it's going to go. Let's just chill and date for a minute. Let's fill each other out. No, it's about, hey, look, I've observed you. I see something exceptional and extraordinary in you. I am making up my mind that, hey, you know what? This is the person I'm going to commit to being greater with. See, the commitment is where the marriage is built, not on the feelings. That's why you got so much of a high divorce rate, because when things get bad, nobody remembers the commitment. Nobody remembers the contract. Nobody remembers the covenant. I don't feel like it anymore. And the thing is, when you don't really know who you are, that works for you. And I had to discover who I was. I had to discover that it's not about just throwing a dart and hoping you hit a spot when picking a mate with somebody you do. You got to know who you are and then know what type of person you desire and you're going to demand from the universe in order to live the life you want to live. It's not about, well, we kind of, and the wife and I were talking about this yesterday. You can have a good person, literally a good person. They're kind-hearted, they're sweet, and everything else, and you still not be in alignment in order to do what happens. And you'll get in a relationship with that good person, and y'all turn each other sour. You got to know. See, I sit up and I spent literally several years of just determining what my wife would be, how she would look and talk, how she would refer to me, what type of and level of respect she will extend to me. All of these different things I had, and I went over it and over it and over it and over it again based on my makeup of what I needed. I knew my value, And I went on my makeup and I said, these are the minimal things I need in order to say I'm going to spend the rest of my life with somebody. So by me visiting it over and over and over again over those years before we came in contact with each other, I immediately recognized it when I saw it. That's why so many people end up in stuff they don't want to be in, because they don't know what they want. So if you don't know what you want, how can you possibly recognize it? You're moving solely off of physical attraction and how a person makes you feel at a certain moment. You need to be aware of the core elements of a person, the things that situations and circumstances won't change. And I know this started off as business. But your business is simply an extension of you. When you know who you are, you're easily able to define and brand your business, because your business is an extension of you. If you don't know who you are, your business is going to be a capricious mechanical disruption that may or may hit. And even when it hits, you won't know why it's hit, because you haven't sit up and measured the components that drive it. But when you sit up and know what you want, when you see it, you're like, that's it. That's it. My wife and I never dated. If you read my book, my 4th book, When Your House Is Not a Home, I got a whole section in there on why I'm not an advocate of dating. But you got to get out of this Western culture and get out of this whole dating scene is disrupting everything. Everybody's getting stuff that they shouldn't be getting until they commit. And not just sex. Do you realize that when you go on a date, I'm just going to touch this little piece and then I'm going to get off of it. That when you go on a date, the first date is a filler. Hey, I'm trying to see, outside of physical attraction, we got anything going. Now, whether the first date is good or bad, that can be a possibility of a second date, because anybody can just have a bad day, right? Some people won't even go on the second date if the first date was horrible, but some people will. So the second date is still the second date is what I experienced in the first date real or an anomaly? And so you go on the second date. Here's the third date. The third date is, I'm kind of feeling this person. There's this and there's this, but I'm kind of feeling this person. In other words, everything from the third date on is because there's something there that's drawing you to that person. Here's the problem. We're humans and we're social creatures, meaning that we create connections with people we socialize with. So every time I spend some time with this person that I'm dating, now remember, dating in this culture is not the same as what the old folks used to call courting or pursuing. It is just that. It's dating. We're going on dates. There's no commitment. Here's the problem. Every time I go on a date with you after the third date, I'm building an emotional connection, whether I admit it or not. We can say all the cool stuff that dating people say. Hey, look, this is just a no strings attached a situation. We just doing this. I blaze you, you blaze me. All that bull crap, we run down each other. But the problem is, every time I spend time with you, I grow closer to you emotionally. We don't even have to have sex. 6 months down the line, no sex, but we're spending 2 or 3 days a week with one another. That's an emotional connection. Now here it comes. One person walks up at the 6-month mark, says, you know what? It's been good. I've had some fun, but I'm not feeling it anymore. I think I'm gonna go my way, you go your way. It's been fun. That person that just got dumped has absolutely no claim to the person that dumped them. Why? No commitment. No verbal agreement, no conscious agreement, no understanding of anything except we just dating. So now that person is going to take that emotional attachment with them. And trust me, it's there. 6 months in, you're spending time with a person on a consistent basis for 6 months, you're emotionally attached at some level. And now they just walked off with a piece of your heart. If that happens enough, you get kind of callous. If somebody, every time you look up, somebody's pinching a piece of your heart, the heart gets callous, gets hard, gets coarse. And then when somebody comes along and really wants to get into a relationship with you, you're distant. Why? Because you kept exposing yourself to people who weren't ready to commit to you. You didn't know your value. You didn't know that you had a right to say, if you're not serious about something, get on. Men and women, I'm talking to both of you. That my thing is the person that you're calling yourself getting to know. And then these 3-year datings and 3-year, 4-year engagements. What you waiting on? My thing is the moment that you say, see, the thing is, you're going to grow together and you have to be together. You're going to have to grow together. You have to learn together. You're going to have to develop together. The whole thing is, once a person says, I want to marry you, and they put a ring on your finger, what are you waiting on? Well, we need to get this right. No, you get that right together. You build that together. If you want to marry me, what else do you need? If you're saying you want to marry me, at the point you say you want to marry me, male, female, you're saying you see in me everything you need in a partner. What you waiting on? All the stuff that's not there, you build that together. Marry. But you got to know your value. Yeah, you got to know your value. I am going to get off of here. I can really go with this whole value thing. Again, if you know your personal value, the chance of you failing in establishing your business value is not going to be as likely. But you have to understand you don't lowball yourself in life or in business. You understand who you are, and you are going to be valued at what you're accepting, period. I don't care how good your product is. I don't care how good your heart is. Whatever you are willing to accept will establish your value. With that being said, I'm going to get off here. Look, I got a couple of sessions. I didn't put this in the, I didn't put it in the original description, but I will add it afterwards. I've got a couple of spots open for one-on-one sessions, starting at 12 sessions all the way up to 52 sessions. Anybody who's really serious about changing their life for the better. Join the growing number of people who are going for it. I'm really excited about where I'm at in the transition of how I do business and who I do it with. And I'm not going to get into detail on that just yet, but it's been a long time in the process. I'm really happy with some of the people that are coming to me, and I'll just leave it at that. But hey, live your life on full. If you live your life on full, that's what I wake up every morning. I want to give life my best shot. Some days I got more to give than others, but I want to give it my best shot. And I say this all the time. I live my life on full because when I leave this place, I want to die on E. I don't want to take unwritten books to the grave. I don't want to take unwritten personal engagements to the grave. I don't want to take motivational speeches that will inspire people to the grave. I don't want to take the things that I'm gifted to do and sit on them and then take that potential to the grave with me. So I wake up every day to live life at its peak. And it takes a lot out of me, but that's why I have the night to sleep, to rest, to recover, to heal my brain, to cleanse my brain, to give my body a chance to recover and restore itself and get up and go hard in the paint the next day. I'm going to get everything I can out of that day, and I'm challenging you to do the same thing. I'm going to leave the information in there. If for those who are not going to stick by, if you want to find out how you can work with me, you can email lifechange at rickwallacephd.link. That's lifechange at rickwallacephd.link. With that being said, I'm going to jump off of here, and I am going to get to the next thing on the agenda for the day. You guys have an unbelievable day.